All right, so now again in Romania against Dragos Dumitrache.
Yeah, it was probably the decisive game of the tournament because I had to win. If I could win this game, I could become Romanian champion again. I mean, the best result in history. Mm-hmm. Even now, I mean, I won the Romanian championship 10 times, but instead of having 10 times the title, I had only 9 times because once in 1970, the Romanian Federation changed the rule between the game, as always. And I had, not like this.
Surprise.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, we had to play a match, Victor Ciocârltea and myself, and the result was even. I had to play somewhere in Australia. He had to play another tournament somewhere in Europe. And before leaving the country, they told us that we come back and they declare both Romanian champions, because it was complete equality like this. And when we came back, they changed the rule and they said, okay, we take it by bullets, we continue the match, and we declare, champion later on, but they didn't announce before the game. Yeah. They announced during the game, I mean, sorry, it's impossible. But okay, it happened, no important. And all right, coming back to Predeal.
Here is a clear result.
Here is a clear result. No, okay, so now coming back to our position, this is a normal line for white, a little bit quiet, let's say, but very difficult to do something with black because it was recommended by Botvinnik himself. It's a very strong defensive line for white. And if white plays normally, it's very difficult to break, probably impossible, almost impossible, So it's like an English position against the King's Indian. So black has equality. It's no problem to have equality, but very difficult to have more, So we'll see. Okay, after g3, knight f6, bishop g2, castle. Okay, and now knight e8. This is a very good idea. Knight e8, c7, e6, controlling the d4 square. This is the best possibility for black. So already the position is more or less even here, So okay, knight c7, bishop e3, knight e6, queen d2, d6. Okay, bishop h6. Knight d4, all right. The position is even, as I told you, but not more for the moment, you see. Okay, so now he took in g7, I took in g7, he played f4. Probably here, instead of f4, it was better, I mean, if he wants to have an even game, to take immediately in d4, and after knight takes, knight e2, trying to trade so many pieces as possible, If you want to do something, you have to force it with black, but that probably the advantage is too small. If he continues to play well, I mean. If he continues to play well, black is a little bit better, but not enough probably, But okay, he had also a very good situation, I mean, very good game in the tournament. I mean, he was very well placed. So he tried to, continue a little bit, Yes. So now it's not clear anymore, because the position is changing and white tries a little bit too much, we'll see,
So he gives
a pawn, but it's not clear. I took, knight d4, queen d2, okay, now it's clear. He gave a pawn for initiative, trying to open the game. Instead of taking in f5, black would play, f6, again, no problem at all, but very difficult to win with black, If you have to try to win, you have to take in f5 to accept the challenge, So, okay, I took in f5. He took, bishop takes, and now knight d5. Now we have the result. He gave a pawn, but he has some initiative. You have to play very well with black now, you see. Okay, f6.
But, sorry, it wasn't better to take the pawn now?
But then if he takes the pawn, black has, clear initiative here. It's clearly better because the position is very open. You have the b file, white has nothing, and the knight from d4 is very strong. The bishop from f5 also has a very nice position. That's clear. Black has, some advantage in any position.
So you have to compensate also with initiative.
Yes. Okay. So from now on, everybody plays for initiative. Black is already, okay. I mean, we could have a very nice game already. We agree to give back the pawn for initiative. I mean, to take the initiative for black. Okay? So, okay, we'll see later on. So f6. Now he comes back to e3. He tries to have complete control of the square f5. If he, succeeds to do this, it's all right for white. I mean, bishop c8 now, and now g4. He played g4. After g4, if he has one move here, I mean, for instance, rook b8. Now, after bishop e4, white is all right. If he has complete control of f5, white is okay. But he has no time, because now black gives back the pawn immediately, So f5. Okay, he has to take. I took with the knight. He takes, and bishop takes. All right, we gave back the pawn. He has to take in b7, rook b8, bishop d5. It seems more or less all right again,
yes.
now. And now queen h4. Now it's clear. Black is better. The black initiative is more dangerous than the white's initiative. The white king from h1 is a little bit more exposed than our king from g7. Therefore, later on, this small advantage will be greater on and bigger and decisive, finally. So, okay, bishop g6, rook d1. And rook f6, very strong move again, because we try to have complete control of the f file. So it has to take in f6, because otherwise after rook f8, the other rook, is clear that black is already threatening something, you see.
Yeah.
Decisive. So it has to take. I took with the queen. And here it was the last moment where he could go wrong. I mean, bishop g2 is mistake. It was better to play b3, even that black is still better, but more difficult to win. After bishop g2, very big chance to lose, So after bishop g2, he was in time trouble, and he thought that everything is all right.
Yeah.
But after e4, he's probably lost in every position. So decisive counter-attack. e4, he has to take, rook takes b2, and we have this position where everything is, very bad for white, because he has no time to move the queen, I mean, to take in d6. He loses immediately. We trade queens, and then rook b1 check wins at least a piece, by force.
So if he takes here...
Yeah, you take, he takes with the rook, and rook b1 check, and resigns.
Because he loses the bishop.
Yeah. So, if he doesn't have time to take in d6, the position is very clear. It's lost position for white, He loses by force. He has to move the queen. Now he lost the pawn from a2. Every endgame is lost, you see. And not only this, but all the important pawns are on white, c4 and d4, two weaknesses again, So the position is completely lost for white. So, okay. Rook a1, queen c1, the rest is clear. So I took, he took. We continue because of the time trouble and the time control, move 40. Queen d4, queen b6. He gives some checks, but it's too late. h4. And now I play queen f6, of course, h5. Otherwise, it's the same, he loses the pawn anyway, So, okay. So, okay, I gave check, played there. I took the pawn. He tries to give a check somehow, up, because in the last moment he saw that after queen e7, queen e5 check is even worse. I mean, he has to trade queens, and then the a pawn queens,
So you came with the queen here to defend this also?
Yes, more or less, but it's not important. The pawn a7 is important only in endgame, but as you can see, we win before endgame, so tactically. So he
check.
He gave check, okay, and now is no check anymore. I mean,
yeah.
And he played queen g8, bishop g6, and he resigned. But yes. It was a real demonstration what can happen when white wants a little bit too much from an even game. I mean, before, if he played quietly, he had probably a chance to save a draw somehow, But by playing like this, I mean, he took some risks, and the position was very safe for black, clearly better positionally, and we could demonstrate that we have a little bit more than the equality later on, in middle game and end game. So the game was very instructive, not too complicated, only in the middle game was a little bit complicated. The plan was very clear, what to do. I mean, you don't have to keep the pawn. I mean, you can try to keep the pawn. But then white has the initiative. You accept the fact that you give back the pawn, but you try to take yourself the initiative. It's much more important. And we saw the result.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
You're welcome.